Everyone praises you for being so easygoing. You are the flexible friend, the agreeable partner, the accommodating colleague. You are the one who is always happy to go with the flow, who never makes a fuss, whose needs are so simple they seem almost non-existent. It is a role you play beautifully, and it is a role that is deeply appreciated. But no one sees the quiet, invisible labor it requires. No one sees the constant, subtle work of swallowing your own preferences, of silencing your own desires, of making yourself small and convenient for the comfort of others. And no one sees the exhaustion that follows, a profound weariness that comes not from what you have done, but from what you have perpetually held back. If this feels like the story of your life, you have likely asked a quiet, lonely question. Why do I feel so exhausted from being the easygoing, low-maintenance friend or partner? It feels like a contradiction. How can a life of having no needs be so draining? You may tell yourself you are simply tired, or that you are an introvert needing to recharge. But what if that exhaustion is a signal? What if it is the quiet protest of a self that has been erased? This is not a story about being broken. It is a story about the hidden emotional cost of being low maintenance, a pattern that mistakes self-erasure for agreeableness. And it is a gentle invitation to see that having needs is not high maintenance, it is simply human. Let's gently name this pattern. The low-maintenance identity is often a form of self-erasure. It is a carefully, if unconsciously, constructed strategy to be loved and accepted not for who you are, but for what you are not, a burden. It is the belief that your value in any relationship lies in your lack of needs. You become a smooth, frictionless surface against which others can live their lives without complication. You become a mirror, reflecting back what they want, your own image growing fainter and fainter over time. This is not true easygoingness, which comes from a place of genuine contentment. This is a performance, a constant and tiring act of self-suppression. This pattern is almost always learned. It is a quiet lesson absorbed in an environment where your authentic needs felt unsafe or unwelcome. Perhaps you grew up as the good child, the one who was praised for not causing trouble in a chaotic household. You learned that your silence and compliance were the currency for peace and approval. Or perhaps when you did express a need, it was met with annoyance, dismissal, or anger, teaching you the painful equation that your needs are an imposition, and to be a burden is to risk disconnection. So, you learned to become a ghost in your own life, an expert at wanting nothing. This was a brilliant strategy for survival. It kept you safe. But the strategy that once protected you can become the very thing that now isolates you within your own relationships. This brings us to a difficult but necessary reframing. The belief that being low maintenance makes a relationship easier is a myth. It does not make it easier. It makes it less honest. A connection built on the silence of one person's needs is a connection built on a fantasy. It is a relationship with a carefully curated representative, not a real, breathing human being. Your partner or friend doesn't get to know the person who secretly dislikes horror movies, who finds loud restaurants overwhelming, or who desperately needs a quiet evening alone. They get to know a pleasant, agreeable echo. And while this may avoid conflict in the short term, it prevents the very thing that creates deep, lasting intimacy, the beautiful, messy, and honest negotiation between two real people with two real sets of needs. It is the common misunderstanding to see this as a sign of being a better or more selfless friend. In reality, it is a form of quiet control. By having no needs, you never have to be vulnerable. You never have to risk the rejection that might come from asking for something. You never have to test the strength of the bond between you. The low-maintenance identity keeps you in a state of perceived safety, but it is the safety of a locked room. It is safe, but it is also profoundly lonely. You are loved for your function, for your ease, but you are left with the quiet, aching feeling that if you were to reveal your true, need-filled self, you might not be loved at all. So how do we begin to gently dismantle this performance? It does not require a sudden and dramatic presentation of demands. It begins with a small, quiet experiment in being visible. We can call it the practice of expressing a single, low-stakes preference. The next time you are in a situation where you would normally default to, "I don't mind," or "whatever you want is fine," pause, check in with yourself. Is there a small, genuine preference hiding behind your agreeableness? Perhaps your friends are deciding where to get lunch. Instead of your usual response, you could try a gentle offering. I'm actually in the mood for Italian today, but I'm open to other ideas too. Or if your partner asks what movie you want to watch, instead of you pick, you could try, I saw a trailer for that new comedy, I'd be curious to see it. The point is not to force your choice upon others. The point is to make your own preference known, to make it a part of the conversation. Each time you do this, you are practicing the radical act of showing up in your own life. You are teaching your nervous system that your desires are not a source of conflict, but simply a part of who you are. Another safe practice is to create a private space to reconnect with your own needs. When you have spent a lifetime silencing your desires, you can lose the ability to even know what they are. A journal can be a sanctuary for this rediscovery. You might sit with a simple question: if I didn't have to consider anyone else's feelings or preferences, what would I want right now? Allow yourself to answer with radical honesty, just for you. Would you want to cancel your plans and read a book? Would you want to listen to a different kind of music? Would you want to have a difficult but honest conversation? This is not an exercise in selfishness. It is an exercise in self-reclamation. It is the act of gently turning your attention inward and listening to the quiet whispers of your own heart with the same care and attention you so freely give to others. By simply acknowledging your needs to yourself, you are affirming their existence. You are treating yourself as someone who matters. This internal validation is the necessary foundation for eventually being able to express those needs in the world. The journey away from the exhaustion of being low maintenance is a journey back to yourself. It is the slow and courageous process of unlearning the belief that you must be empty to be loved. It is about discovering that your needs are not a flaw or a burden. They are simply a sign of your aliveness. They are the threads that weave the unique and beautiful tapestry of who you are. A true connection is not one where you disappear. It is one where you are finally given the space to arrive, in all of your complex and perfectly human reality. What if your needs are not an inconvenience? What if, for the people who truly love you, they are an invitation to know you and to love you even more deeply?